Hey guys, Kelly here. Welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, so nice to have you. Today we're going to paint a winter vintage train with smoke, kind of a Christmas, New Year card. This was my first attempt, which honestly did not go well. I went way too busy on the background and tried to cover it up with some snow. So we're going to attempt it again a little bit differently. Sometimes it's just not your day. Today's just one of these days. I started out with having an issue not being able to decide what coffee I wanted. I had so many choices, and sometimes you feel this way when you are going to paint as well. I ended up going with the classic cinnamon bun. That is delicious, by the way. And I do need to clean my coffee maker. Look at that. It's a hot mess. This is just one day's worth. Is that crazy? We go through a lot of coffee here, if you can't tell. Oh, and by the way, happy Veterans Day to those of you that served. Happy Veterans Day to my husband. I ran around the house and wrote Happy Veterans Day. Here's Avalon, my allergic dog. She is bothering me right now. I wanted to get started on the painting, but we have to let her out first. All right, guys, let's do a train today. I don't know. I thought Polar Express, my son absolutely loved little trains, and we have this train that we put out every single year when he was little, and now I'm going to be putting it out for my grandson, and I'm hoping he loves it just as much. So let's just do a real simple, like locomotive. I don't want to have a whole lot of details with this because I don't want to make it super hard. Because I'm not actually looking at a train, I may or may not have this right. I'm trying to get my vanishing point in there, so I'm messing around with it a little bit more than I should. And it's not perfect, and that's okay. If you are a patron, head over to the Patreon membership, and you can get the ad-free version of this as well as the printable sketch, so you don't have to go through all of this if you don't want to. And if you're not yet a Patreon member, you can sign up for free for the first 7 days to check it all out. And then hopefully you love it and you'll stick around. And it's a great holiday gift too. All right, as you can see here, I am just wetting the train. I'm going to do the train first. And I was kind of thinking of some nice reds in here. I'm just going to drop it in. I'm going to try to keep this very loose. That is the keyword, try. And sometimes it's hard for me because I like to throw in the details too soon, but that is one of the tricks. Don't do your details too soon. Try to keep all of your light, and I work really fast. This is 5x7, so don't feel like you have to work this fast, but I do want to keep this nice and wet. You can see that the colors are pretty light, so doing this first wash, I know I can't screw it up too much because I have everything so light. I can go in darker with some details later. So I'm using a very soft gray shade, just getting in some darker areas here. The train, I think it's going to be, I was trying to decide if I wanted to do blues or if I wanted to do the classic red train, like the red caboose. That's really what's red, right, is caboose. But I don't know, it's my Christmas train. And again, I'm not looking at anything, so that is always challenging. I do want a light here in the middle. That train's coming at us, and maybe a little glow in some of the little cabin windows here. So, I mean, that's pretty simple, right? Especially if you have the sketch already in. My sketch was not perfect. And I do want to get just a few lines in here. Now, this is starting to dry just a little. And this is where I kind of test, like, oh, is it dry? Is it still too wet? And I want to get a shadow underneath because that's going to be casting a shadow on the snow under the train. Let's fill in those little lines there. It's not perfectly straight, but that's all right. And then over here, just get the edge a little more. And I'm just kind of popping it in back and forth. Let's get a little bit more line work. I'm using the tip of that brush just to get a nice point. I don't know if it's going to be rounded on the front, if that's square on the front, as I'm kind of just playing around with it. Again, I'm trying to visualize it like it's like Thomas the Tank Engine, right? Try to remember from when Camden was little. So that little purple in there, I like the purple glow. And I'm trying to shape that out. I'm just like looking at it. And the top might have a little bit of shadow. I may end up putting some snow up there. So it's almost like I'm drawing little sketches in here with the paint. It's a little bit darker. As it starts to dry, that paint is staying more in place. So I'm getting a little line work, maybe a little separation of the box cars here. And I don't want to overdo it. So this is where I have to think, well, okay, let's dry this. Let's step back, take a look at it maybe in a little bit and see then what we want to do. I don't want to get too many details in here at first. As I say that, I'm going to put a little grill in here because I think that was what's going to plow that snow in the front. All right, I'm back. It's all dry. Now I'm going to do a very light wash for the background. Now, the first one I had done, I went way overboard with the background. And because I had it so dark, I was trying to lighten it back up. I was trying to put the train in. It looks like it's a fireplace right now. It was just a hot mess. So I started over for you guys to do another one. So again, remember what we said earlier. Sometimes things just don't work out, and that's okay because we learn from them. So for this background, I did the water and I'm just dropping in some yellow ochre in here. I want to keep it soft. I want to keep some of those colors that are in the train kind of reflecting in there. Remember, it's snow, so snow is going to reflect a lot of the same colors that you've already got going on. And it's really light. I really like it at this point. Throwing in maybe a little brown and purple together here because I want to, again, grab the purples in there. I don't want a bright yellow sky. And then I was like, ooh, well, that kind of looks like some nice smoke. So let's just continue on with that. Those little happy accidents. And it's really light. And I could have gone even a little darker because when I'm going to put some snow on this, which I'm going to do right now with a bleed proof white, it's not going to show up quite as well as I would like. Now, a nice little trick doing this, you could put salt down here and it will give you that nice little pattern. But when you have wet paint and you drop white bleed proof white into the color, it kind of does the same thing as the salt does in a way. It gives it that little burst wherever it is still wet. So when you have the dry areas, you'll get that nice detailed little snow dots, but where it's still wet, it just blooms out. Everybody always asks me, like even on the poinsettia, they're like, what did you use? How'd you use the white? How'd you do that with the white? That's how I do it. It's with the Dr. Martin bleed proof white. And gouache will do the same thing too. So let's pop in just a little bit of color down the bottom. Again, remember, snow is not white. It's not bright white. You've got all of those little shadows in there. Let's throw a little bit more snow in the bottom now. Again, it should splatter just a tiny bit because it's really, really wet. And the nice thing about it, I mean, it does make a mess. Look at my table, but you don't have to worry about exfoliation with the salt or waiting for it to dry. This dries a lot quicker. Let's just soften the edges just a tiny bit. I think I'm going to go darker right underneath again because the train's going to cast a nice shadow in there. Let's give a little purple in here. Just dropping it in. And again, this is really watery, so it's really light. Everything's really light right now, which I like. Like I could have been done just like that. We could say we're done, but I'm not. I'm going to get a few more details in there. So I switched over to my dagger brush and I'm holding it really tight up there and I'm using just the tip of it. It happened to be what I had on my paint or my table here as far as a very fine little brush. So if you have a little liner brush, that will work. You might not have to choke up on it so hard. I'm almost using it like I would a pencil at this point. So if I want it to be really, really loose, I would hold that way back. And if I want it to be really, really tight and have specific lines, which I'm doing here, I choke up on my brush. So like I'm analyzing it. Do I want more? Like that's like a medium tone. Everything is really, really light. I think I need maybe a few darker areas, but I'm afraid I'm going to overdo it because I'm a little nervous from overdoing the first one that I started with. So I'm just very gingerly putting in some color here, just kind of shaping things around a little bit. Now I could have had another few different tones in here. I kind of went really dark on this. And that's all right. We're going to add more snow, I think, to this. So let's just drop in a little darker value in here. I'm going to go in with some more red. It just looks a little too pink for me. It's still kind of a pinky red, isn't it? Of course, it's got a little bit of that purple in there and a little bit of gray. So it's going to be picking up a little undertone of that anyway. That's not bad. I may end up adding a little bit more red in there. We'll see. It's still pinky, but it's getting a little wet now. So I'm thinking maybe a tree. Let's do a little mixture of greens. I want a kind of a deep green because I want to throw some snow on the top of it. You can even add a little blue, a little brown to that. Gonna play around with those colors. You see the top right there? That is still a little wet where that red was not quite dry. That's all right. We're gonna throw some snow on there. I don't worry about it. Let's put another tree right here. This brush is great for painting like little loose Christmas trees. Just little dabs along. Using the tip for the top, and then I start pushing down a little bit more. That's fun. So those are light as well. I'm going to go a little darker. Let's throw a little bit of blue in there. Ooh, yeah, nice shadows. Now the white's going to show up a lot better on that. And that is still wet. Let's see. We'll still drop it in there. When you throw the snow on the top of that, you're not even going to notice it. I think I got a little too blue there, but that's all right. Let's just soften underneath. Maybe we got a little cast of green down on the bottom. We'll see. Maybe brown. Nope. No, it looks like dirty snow. We're going to add some white to that after. I'm going to try to turn it into gray for a shadow. But, all right, let's give it a quick dry. All right, we're back with the snow. It's still wet on top. It got a little light green. That's all right. We're just skipping right over it. Tap it in here and there. A little winter wonderland. At least this part's dry now. Tap, 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 tap. To the left, to the right. A little snowbank there. We'll fix that little spot. Maybe a little more here. Oh, I cannot get a straight line in there. I'm trying to get a few highlights. That's all. Again, it's very, very soft. I may take a little pen and ink to this too. We will see. Now this is where this is where you should stop, because if you're not sure, especially if you're having an unsure day, like I am, that's when you wait. I did this last week, I think, with the little gnome that we did. And if you want to watch that one, I'll link that for you down below as well. But I think I've been doing that a lot lately because it's a little vulnerable because I'm sharing all of this stuff that is my play and my practice. So, I'm unsure myself of some of this stuff. And so getting your likes and your comments in here really helps, because it's a little unnerving throwing some of the stuff out there when you're unsure. I actually sent this to my best friend, a picture of it, and I sent it to my mom before I went ahead and made the YouTube video. I actually even posted a poll up on my Instagram and my Facebook page because I'm like, oh, is this good enough? Do you guys want to see this? So now I'm going to take out the pen, and it was very pretty at this point. Sometimes I look back at stuff, I'm like, why didn't I just leave it alone? And I think that's why it's so good to have fresh eyes and look back at stuff and see if there's anything more you want to do with things, because sometimes we can, it could have been perfect. It could have looked pretty, not perfect, but it could have looked pretty good. And then we keep overdoing it, and then you overwork it, and then you got to fix your overworks. But I think I said this at the beginning though, that is part of getting better at painting, because you learn how to fix your mistakes. I think a lot of things, I mean, Bob Ross said it best, right? Happy little accidents. That's why they call them that. They're accidents. That's how we learn. God, I've been doing a lot of pen and ink lately. I really like it. I almost wanted to put some gold in here for that light in the center, but I didn't do it. I could always go back and do it though. And then I decided to add just a few blades of grass in here and some little red berries just to match the train. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And I can't wait to see yours. If you do this one, please share it with me on social media and tag me so I can look at your beautiful work too. And we'll see you guys next week. Happy holidays. Oh, and I did want to mention I got my new poinsettia cards in. And this was a challenge, by the way, because I tried this one 3 times. And I ended up with the last 2. I made cards of both of them. And they are up on my Etsy shop if you want to check them out. They are my limited edition. Every year I do a holiday card. All right, you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.